Right, it's 6 o'clock, so we will get started. Welcome everybody, thank you. I have an apology from Councillor Stewart, and Andrew is going to have to leave at 7. So, can I have somebody move those apologies, thanks, be accepted. Thank you. Do I have a seconder? Thanks, Mark. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against, that's carried. Any conflicts of interest from anybody?
Yes.
Yep.
A conflict of interest in the Texas art thing because they are...
That application has actually been withdrawn because the art show is not going ahead. So any other conflicts of interest? Right, the minutes of the last meeting, which seems so long ago. Can I have somebody move those? Thanks, Mark. A seconder? Thanks, Andrea. Any discussion around those? Any issues? Right, I'll put that to the vote. Those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against, that's carried. Any matters arising? No. We do not have any deputations or presentations from the community. Don't have any adjourned business. The one application to the grant fund, Kay.
Good evening, everyone. As Shona has indicated, the Pegasus Bay School sent me an email this morning withdrawing their application. The Life Education Trust Canterbury, interesting application, but I think well worthwhile. Obviously up to the board to decide whether or not it falls within their delegated powers of criteria and such like. But yeah, happy to answer any questions if I can.
Andrea.
Madam Chair, back to the Pegasus Bay School PTA, just trying to be proactive for them. I was actually going to put forward that we decline it only because of what they were requesting, being the advertising for Essence. I looked at the other costs that were involved and picked out there was one for children's entertainment of $350. The reason behind it is I feel it's quite an indulgent method of advertising for a school, and I question who their audience would be through that magazine. But if it had been for the children's entertainment, then I would be supportive of it. I don't know if it needs to be put in the minutes, Madam Chair, just, if they come back again and ask, I don't know. So
I think each application is measured on its merits at the time.
Yeah.
Currently passing motion on it, so.
Yeah. Thank you.
Right, any questions about the Life Education Trust? Any thoughts? Anybody want to move something? Philip.
Just speaking to the motion briefly, I have actually met Harold. 2 weeks ago, my grandsons attended the trailer unit and had some lessons, and I've also been shown how the program works, and it's quite an amazing program, and it is to be used in North Canterbury. It's not going into their general coffers as I understand it. So it is quite an expensive program to roll out. They have qualified staff, purpose-made classroom, so some of your own children may have benefited from it. My grandson, who is 9, came home and said it was disgusting. Guess what they talked about? Things that he hadn't talked about with his mother. But I think it is very beneficial, and I'm certainly supportive of helping them.
Yes, as the board knows themselves, there's always been a bit of uncertainty in regards to do we fund schools or don't we? This board has always been quite pragmatic in looking at the actual program and deciding whether or not they are happy to fund. This, as I'm sure you're probably aware, is a move by Rangiora Ashley Community Board to try and clarify, to make deciding whether or not to fund schools easier and give the schools more direction on whether or not they should be funded. It's entirely up to the board whether or not they prefer to have more of a ability to use discretion rather than being tied down to thou shalt or shalt not. It's entirely up to you. I will say that Oxford Hoka decided not to amend their criteria, but it's up to the board.
Questions, anyone?
I don't have a question. Thinking how I can turn it into a question. Madam Chair, are you aware that creative communities have a criteria for funding for art and related activities?
I knew they did, but I don't know what's in it.
I could answer that question, Madam Chair. They have an exclusion that creative communities don't fund things which the Ministry of Education would fund if it's part of the normal school curriculum. And to get over that line, a school principal will have to provide a letter saying that the art type activity is not funded by their bulk grant and is outside their normal curriculum. So whether we need to put this in, we'll talk about that, but other organisations do consider that point.
Decliner.
Courtney, you were there.
Pretty much it was just up to their discretion, so that they, with it or without it, they can still accept a application from a school. So if you put that new clause in, if a school does apply, you still have the discretion to accept or decline. So they thought it was easier to just leave it as it was.
I think the idea was that by saying if a school is requiring funding, the PTA would fill in the application, and if it comes from the PTA, it would be taken that it isn't something that the Minister of Education would fund. I think that's what the idea is behind specifically stating PTAs.
Do we have many applications from actual boards of trustees, or?
Ashley would, Rangiora Ashley have had a few.
So that's what's caused the...
We've had a school which has had an application from the school, from the BOT and from the PTA for different projects, and I think they're just trying to close the loophole.
Going to cause a problem?
Yes, I think they are still leaning towards consistency, so it will look at how many boards want and how many don't, and just hopefully we don't have two.
Madam Chair, I really don't see what the difference is between either one. There's not one strong way or another. They both, any application can be considered anyway by the board. Am I right in thinking that? It doesn't really matter if it's either or.
At the moment.
Well, the B amendment still says we can consider, and status quo is just what we're doing currently at the moment.
Yeah, but anything directly funded from a school board of trustees or by being directly funded from the Ministry of Education will be declined. It's not a very
Will be considered. Application direct from public. I do agree that a board of trustees should not be applying. I just don't think that when they're running from a completely different budget than, say, a PTA is. When I've been on the years and years of PTA, it's always been about the fluffy things, whereas a board is there for the operational and things like that there. So, yes, we have not had an issue yet, but maybe we'll in the future. I'm not sure. But we'll consider staff's recommendation of how to proceed.
I was just going to test the meeting, Madam Chair, and move A and C. If there's a seconder. Just briefly, I think we've had no difficulties with the status quo. We have the discretion to decline any application as we see fit. So it leaves it more open for us. Personally, I would be opposed to funding anything that the ministry should be paying for, but that's something that can come up at a meeting.
No, Philip's done very well.
Sorry, any questions from anyone? Right, I'll move that my report be accepted. Do I have a seconder?
Yes.
Thanks, Andrew. All those in favour say aye. Aye. Those against? It's carried. Matters for information. If there's anything. Anybody got any questions around any of those? Do I have someone to move that those be received, the information be received? Thank you, Mark. A seconder? Any comments? Right, all those in favour of that, say aye. Those against, that's carried. Members' information exchange. Councillor Stewart did put in a brief written thing around water today, so we'll email that around so you have a chance to read that to everybody. Andrew, have you got anything for the information exchange?
I just wanted to reiterate something which you had in yours, which
Yep.
was around our meeting which we had with Grant and the team
Yep.
regarding there's a number of initiatives and proposals at Waikuku Beach, and we're asking council staff to come up with a sort of a concept plan as to how they might all coexist at the beach and in areas that are seen to be acceptable for each of them and together. So we had a good meeting there, and sometime in November, I think it is, council staff will come back with a proposal that it will be discussed with the community down at the beach.
Yeah, it was a good meeting.
Yeah, and a good way of tackling it, I think, given that sort of lay out a sort of a plan that some of these ideas, be they the volleyball courts or this pump track or the board riders, can then so here's the opportunity for you, and then go ahead and they can. Whereas at the moment there's some. It's a bit tricky. Some things I think we're slowing things down for one or two of those entities because there's not a clear framework for them. There's not a place for them to go.
Yeah, it's all around that. Is trying to get everything in the right place that suits the community, at this time. Because once land's being used for something, it can't really be used for anything else. So we've got to make sure that whatever goes in is actually in the right place. So Grant Stevens is involved with this as well. Thank you, Grant. Philip, an update from you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'll be brief. I didn't get to put anything in writing. I can blame COVID for that. At the council, we've been pretty busy on the Three Waters matter. We've had a number of briefings, and we had an extraordinary meeting on the 28th of September and unanimously passed a series of resolutions which basically say we don't support the current model. We also expressed concern with the role of LGNZ in promoting the reform, and the Mayor has written to them requesting that they consider feedback from their sector and possibly have a meeting to reassess their position. The district plan review has been advertised, and the council has appointed Neville Atkinson and Nikki Mealings as the two council appointees. There are some external commissioners and an iwi commissioner to be appointed, and I'm still waiting to hear who those people are. There have been a number of drop-in sessions, including one at Pegasus last week that I attended. Wasn't very well attended, I could say.
They weren't actually drop-in sessions, they were public
awareness sessions. I'm calling it a drop-in session, but it was an awareness session, you're correct. People weren't very aware because I don't think anyone came.
They weren't advertised.
Right.
And that was the way they wanted it. They just wanted to get people as they passed by, and I did suggest that nobody actually really passed by there, and that was rather a waste of time. And there was one at the Woodend Community Centre last Friday, which I don't know how many, I would have no idea of anybody.
I didn't get to the Woodend one, but at the Pegasus one, you're right, there was no foot traffic passing by. We did, however, adjourn to the Flat White Cafe and harassed a book club and told them about what was going on, so that was quite successful. You may have also read the council approved the restoration of the Po, if I've pronounced that correctly. The budget for that is somewhere around 20,000, but could go up to 30,000 depending how you read the recommendation. But it is a very special piece of art, shall we say. So hopefully that will get underway shortly. Creative New Zealand, we had a number of applications which we approved. The Creative Communities Waimakariri Committee, Assessment Committee, and we approved those on the 15th of September. There will be another round early next year, and we would encourage artists or people with an art type activity, and it is art in the broadest sense of the word. Keep an eye out because we do have money to allocate to qualifying things. I thought you might also be aware, I attended the Pegasus Medical Centre for my vaccination, so I'm keeping it local and I'm going back next week for number 2. So as I have seen someone, Madam Chair, promoting on social media, there are vacancies in North Canterbury if you go looking for them. And in actual fact, Pegasus was very good and I was very pleased with the service. Pleased to say, so far no side effects. I also attended the Woodend Flower Show, which was here last Saturday or Sunday? Saturday, was it? And that was very well attended. That might have been Saturday week ago. It was on the 2nd of October. A local resident also wrote to NZTA, and I forwarded his letter to you. I don't know
Thank you
whether
for
you've
that.
seen that, Madam
Yes, I
Chair.
have seen that, thanks.
He was talking about safety improvements through Woodend, and it does look like good news. It says our focus is currently on improving safety along the road through Woodend. Funding for the design stage of safety improvements and its approaches have been approved under the National Land Transport Program as part of the Road to Zero strategy. So really they say they've started work, but really I thought I heard something like this about a year ago, so it hasn't really moved on very far, but it is still on the table. And the final thing I was just going to say, the Enterprise North Canterbury Awards are now rescheduled for the 20th of November. For anyone going, it's a really good night if you haven't got your ticket. It's a big venue, it's at Main Power Stadium. So that's it from me.
Thanks, Philip. Andrea, did you have a question?
We've both got the same question. To my first one, in regards to the poem, so where is the funding coming from for that year?
That hasn't been decided 100% yet because there is a heritage fund that's been mooted. It's also a creative, it's an artistic thing, so it's possible some may come from there. It may come from a bucket of sources, but the council have approved in principle and approved the finance, but where it's actually coming from I couldn't say. There was also a suggestion of this board's landscaping fund for entrances. Could be a possibility, but I would assume if that's the case it would come back to us.
Will Ngāi Tahu be approached? Do you know?
Yes, they have been approached. They don't have any funding available.
Thanks, Philip.
Where did the letter come from about the roading?
Since we're in a public session, I don't know that I should mention the resident's name, but it was a local Woodend resident who will be well known to you, who wrote to the Minister of Transport. I think he was prompted after he saw a press release that work was resuming after the COVID lockdown. And so he got on his bicycle and started talking to Minister Wood.
So this is a response from one?
Yes, which I asked him if I could share, and he said he was happy for me to share the contents. Yeah. Yeah, Shona's got one, or I could email it.
Is it from the actual minister?
The minister probably referred it to, it's come from an Andrew Thackeray, National Manager, Infrastructure Delivery.
So that's for the funding for the planning, but not the actually implementation, design, sorry.
Yeah, this is the design phase. They're working towards that. I would assume that the funding is not likely to be an issue, although the Mayor was going to clarify what funding was granted in the last round, and I haven't heard the outcome of that. There's no suggestion funding is not available here because they're proceeding preparatory with their design. I mean, I think it's good that it's still on the table and they're working towards it. They're not saying it's been shelved or it's not happening. They're saying our focus is currently on improving safety along the road through Woodend. Funding has been approved, for the safety improvements. So they're at the design phase and then it will happen.
Would it be prudent, since they were so savvy in sending a letter back to a resident, that they actually come here and give us an update about where they're at the moment?
It is actually something I've been thinking about around inviting NZTA, but it was sort of put on hold because the Mayor was trying to organise a meeting with the Chief Executive of NZTA and other NZTA officials. That was due to be October. I was invited to attend that meeting. That has now been deferred until possibly 10th of November from NZTA. So, yeah.
Madam Chair, there is a new regional manager, a guy called James Cagle, and I think you should test an invitation to James to come along.
It has been a year since NZTA came along to a meeting when they basically said that, yes, we're in the design phase and nothing, really. So I think with NZTA deferring the meeting with the Mayor, and there is no guarantee that that will go ahead on the 10th of November, I think it would be good to actually issue an invitation to whatever their title is now, whether it's the same as it used to be, of the Regional Manager of South Island Relationships.
James Cagle, I'd be happy to second that, Madam Chair.
So you're happy if we do that?
Sort of. I mean, I'd rather we write to them and just get a written response. Last time they came and spoke to us, and we spent probably a good hour on it at the Sefton Hall, and really we got nowhere. It was just a whole lot of talk. And I mean, I think if you get something, this is probably the best I've seen, not that I've read it properly, but best I've seen in a long time. So why don't we just write to them and say, we want to know, you've got your money approved, what's your time frame, when's it going to happen? I mean, talking to them is not, well, that's what we've done and we've got nowhere. That's my view.
Yep.
But
Writing to them in the past has got nowhere.
no, but
So
coming along and just talking about something wasting an hour is not really, I think I would rather see the productivity of a letter and a response like this with a time frame.
how about both, that we actually write to them with all the details of what has gone on before and
Yep, and then
where we are, and then invite them to attend a meeting as well.
Yep. And when they can explain yep, that's happy with that.
Yep. Is everybody okay with that approach?
Yes.
Okay, that's what we'll do then. Thank you, John. Right, thanks for that update, Philip. The other thing around the PO is also the garden. Underneath the PO is getting quite overgrown, which I have suggested to Grant McLeod that needs some maintenance done on it so that the lights actually shine up on the PO. But again, that's a thing, that's a project that's been going for some time now.
I just add that the PO is not actually on council land.
No, it's not.
It's on the golf course land. So one of the things the council has resolved to do is see if they can enter into an agreement with the golf course over the ongoing maintenance and the ability for the PO to remain where it is, and maybe clarify its status.
That's good. Andrea?
Just a suggestion, and I apologise, I don't know the right formula, or as we all know that there's a lot of work that's done at in Pegasus by the PD team. Could this maybe an extension to their work that they do currently to actually...
The work they do within Pegasus is through the trust. It's the only one that actually uses the PD
System.
workers around around Pegasus. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, the maintenance of the PO themselves, I mean, the suggestion that it could come to our landscaping budget as well, it, would take 2 years of our landscaping budget to pay for it with nothing else happening. So, to me, it seems that the PO is actually, for the whole Waimakariri district, as something that is, we don't have a lot on State Highway 1 that is really visible as being part of Waimakariri. It was gifted from the iwi at Kaikoura and, erected there. So, there has to be a degree of respect, and I do regard it as a treasure, not only now, but in the future. And I think it should be recognised as such for the district. That's my opinion. Mark, you got an update?
We had the Woodend Community Association AGM on a Zoom meeting, which we had to, so wasn't that well attended, but that I didn't expect it to be. We got a new, Lynn Petrie's come on as a representative from Ravenswood, which was, although she didn't attend the first meeting, but that was quite good, and had quite a conversation with her around, I think we discussed it at maybe the last meeting we had around the, Ravenswood, Woodend, probably not so much Pegasus link, but trying to get, and I said to her, I think that having another, if Ravenswood 2 would have formed their own group, it's just another group, but where they were more than welcome to join, because we see it as one. And then we had our first meeting last Monday night, and the safety upgrades were one of the things, which is, this helps clarify a little bit. And I did speak to Dan about what else, and I've spoken to Shane about what else we could do as an association to try and, I think the more ways you push the safety concerns or the whole roading issue, it doesn't matter which way it goes from, it's just everybody. And we also talked about the Welcome to Woodend signs, which I think we're going to talk about hopefully a bit later on, that just the lack of progress on it. So we've planning the Woodend Cultural and School Hungy Day, Community and Cultural Day at the school on the 19th of November. So whether we have it or not, I'm not sure. It'll just depend. We'll make a decision probably next Monday when school returns to go, because there is quite a lot of planning in it. And basically this community association can get the funding and fund the whole thing for the school and the community to attend. So if that does happen, obviously, this group would be, and others would be invited. I went to the men's shed opening, which was a great acknowledgement to the Green Space team, and Grant were acknowledged for the great work and how quick. I think Dan said it's the quickest project the council have ever done. But it was amazing. It was a good turnout, and it's a great facility for Woodend, Pegasus and Ravenswood. And I think that'll only grow now as membership grows and they've got a home and they've got. So I also talked to them about the possibility of having a community garden there, because we're trying to work on getting one on Chinnery's Road around but the council said it wasn't an appropriate space, but there are a few people interested in doing that. And I went to the Woodend Flower Show as well, which was not something I'd normally go to, but it was a lot of people from the community were here and it was good. They were absolutely wrapped with the turnout, so that's it.
There are also quite a few people have expressed an interest in Pegasus about setting up a community garden. So whether if one was set up around that men's shed, that it could actually perhaps be a combined.
Yeah, they said they wouldn't be interested in doing it themselves. That's not their game. But what they would do is help make raised gardens, or
yeah.
And I think there could be multiple places. I mean, it's sort of next to the school. There's a swimming pool area that the kids have, and it's only not utilised at all. But I think it's having people that want to, actually want to. Like I said, I'd be happy to help with it, but I couldn't do it on an ongoing. I can't keep up with my own garden. So, but a thing for retired people or people that've got a bit of time, and I think also could feed the pantry, which is right next door. So, but yeah, I think there could be multiple in time. So, thank you.
Got something to update us? Well, we'll get a Simon and then John. You have to think about it.
There's just a point. Look, there'll be, I'm sure, people associated with the food forest in Kaiapoi and community gardens in Kaiapoi who'd be only too pleased to come and provide a bit of advice as to how to progress things. Might even get them to do some work.
There's planting down the Cam River, what turned out to be a really bitter day, but and the planting wasn't as easy as I expected. I thought I was just going to have to dig my spade in like that, but it was breaking through some dirty great big roots. And anyway, it was a pleasant, good day, and a lot of people here, and we got a lot of plants. And so all the other things I've been involved with is just really sustainability, the Rural Drainage Committee, and of course I've been to the opening of the new centre, and it's probably I can't remember everything, to tell you the truth. I sent it off to Kayla I couldn't find it in here.
John, I did send it back to you because you had put it through for July, and we actually needed August and September.
Oh, I'm sure you could have actually changed that.
No, you had it for July, John. The
Eh?
dates were for July. They're similar.
I put in two months.
Yeah, you did
Oh.
July and August,
Yeah.
and we were looking for August, September. I sent you an email asking you to update it.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'll take the blame for that.
Simon, anything else?
No, Madam Chair, just thinking about how to leverage, knowledge in one part of the district to another, and things like food forests and community gardens. There's people who just love that stuff and will be only too pleased to help, I'm sure. Not being disparaging about that at all.
I also attended the AGM of the Woodend Community Association by Zoom, and another meeting last week, and they were really, it was quite good. I think Mark filled in a lot of the stuff, so yeah. So there was some other things I'd done.
Andrea, sorry.
Back to just acknowledging what Simon said in regards to the fantastic, for example, is Kaipoi with the forest there, and Brent Cairns is an incredible ambassador for that, and they've just rewritten their constitution actually, and a process around actually repeating what they're doing so well. So I know Brent would be happy to replicate, and they already, as probably people know here, that they give the excess from the Kaipoi food to Pegasus currently, which is just tremendous. So yeah, so we definitely have a wonderful connection there, don't we, Simon? On to me, it's been pretty simple. It's been with North Canterbury Neighbourhood Support, we're working on our submission to Council for the district plan, and have also been doing a lot with the Pegasus residents group through a couple of things there that I won't talk to at this in this forum, but those two have kept me very busy over these last few weeks. So, thank you.
Thanks, Andrea. Well, the district plan, yes, district plan's out for consultation at the moment, so that's the one big one. So, please do what you can to make people aware of it. There are drop-in sessions planned. There's one planned for Woodend, but I can't quite remember when. We're attempting to get one at Pegasus, but I'm not sure how that has actually gone so far, so I can't tell you about that one. And we've got our workshop coming up in a fortnight? Yeah. So start thinking about that for submission. Thanks, Kay.
If members could please send whatever questions you have prior to the submission workshop. I've got a spreadsheet running so that we get that information and hopefully make your submission workshop more useful.
Thanks, Kay. The other one is the speed limit review in and around our towns. That closes next Monday. There seems to be a bit of comment around the Sefton township around the proposed speed limit through there, which is interesting. So I'm not sure what will come out of that. Seem to be a little bit divided, so that'll be quite interesting. Board funding update. Here's the balances there. Media items. I'll come up with something, I'm sure. No questions, understanding orders, no urgent general business. So the next meeting is again at the Woodend Community Centre on Monday the 8th of November. So I'll see you then. But I will officially close this meeting and we will move to workshop with Grant on our landscaping budget. Yeah. Thanks, Grant. you got for us?